Tonight I had a very stimulating discussion with a friend, and I promised her that I would continue in her absence to address some of the issues that we discussed. And this is my way of addressing those issues. Across continents and centuries, the echoes of conquest and enslavement and exploitation reverberate, refusing to fade into history's margins. The doctrine of discovery, written in the halls of power, was not merely ink and paper. It was a weapon, wielded to justify the plundering of nations and the displacement of peoples and the erasure of identities. In its wake, empires flourished, while the indigenous peoples suffered, their lands stolen, their cultures dismantled, their existence treated as obstacles to progress. From the bowels of slave ships to the plantations that gave birth to economies, all this done on human suffering. There was what was called the transatlantic slave trade because the real power brokers did not want to be identified with what was happening. But this so-called Atlantic slave trade was the very lifeblood of colonial riches. Bodies became commodities sold and abused under the banner of capitalism, stripped of name, lineage, and dignity. Generations bore the weight of chains, their labor enriching foreign lands, while their homelands remained deliberately impoverished. A legacy still present today in global disparities. The plundering of natural resources was not incidental, it was calculated, meticulous, and merciless. Gold, diamonds, oil, anything of value was siphoned away, leaving behind environmental ruin and economic dependency. In palaces and parliaments, decisions were made to ensure that wealth flowed in only one direction, while the former colonies were shackled in financial subjugation. Reparations have always remained elusive, buried under bureaucracy and hollow and meaningless apologies. And we must not forget that religion too played its part. Christianity, wielded by the colonizers and missionaries alike, became the perfect tool for control. It painted rebellion as a sin, submission as a virtue, and suffering as a path to divine reward. It convinced the oppressed to accept their chains, promising salvation in another life, where they were told that it was fine to accept their servitude in this life. The sacred text, once a source of wisdom and faith, was twisted to justify conquest and obedience. But I say this to you, my friends. Justice may be suppressed, denied, and buried beneath the weight of oppression, but it is never dead. It lingers in the hearts of those who refuse to forget, in the voices that rise against tyranny, in the movements that shake the foundations of power. But I say to you, the tides of history have long favored the oppressor, but the winds are shifting now. Africa is waking up. The continent, once shackled by colonial greed and exploitation, is reclaiming its narrative, reclaiming its sovereignty, its rightful place in the world. The global consciousness is stirring. The veil of deception woven through centuries of mind control and economic manipulation and cultural erasure is unraveling. The truth shines like a beacon, illuminating the injustices that have long been hidden in plain sight. The world is watching, and voices are demanding change. They're demanding that change starts now, and the voices are growing louder. Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i faith, said, "The earth is one country, and mankind is citizens, not just some people, mankind." This truth, once dismissed as idealistic, is now a necessity. The divisions imposed by greed and prejudice must dissolve. The unity of humanity is not a distant dream. It is the only path forward. Justice is not a favor to be granted, it is a right to be restored. And I say, my friends, the awakening has begun, and it will not be silenced.